Dear Aunt Flo is a podcast about bad periods, and I'm your host, Elisa Michelle. Every month, we'll dive deep into my own vagina monologues as I discuss my journey with endometriosis and share stories that we wish someone would have warned us about sooner. I am your new period BFF, so let's get comfortable speaking about our cycles. Okay, welcome back to another episode of Dear Aunt Flo. I'm so excited to have you. If you started at the beginning, then you're all caught up on why I started this podcast. And now we can get into the details and explore different topics about our cycle. But first, you know what we got to start with, a letter to Dear Aunt Flo. So, Dear Aunt Flo, I wish I could go back to my middle school period days. The time when it came every other month, every couple of months, when it was full force for like a day or two, and then pretty chill for the rest of the week. Where the commercials told us we could run, skip, flip, and take over the world with just a thin sports pad. What a time to be alive. I don't miss the loud packaging though. Sincerely fed up, Elisa Michelle. It is Endometriosis Awareness Month and it's Women's History Month, so it's only fitting that we start from the beginning. Today we're diving into remembering our very first period. Honestly, it's pretty blurry for me. I know I was in middle school, so I had to be around 12 or 13 years old. I remember it was the end of the day, end of the school day, and I went to use the bathroom right before taking the trek home. I was a walker. I had to walk from school to home, home to school. I don't think I've ridden a bus since like elementary school. And even then, I would get rides from my mom because I missed the bus, even though it was literally the stop was outside of my house. But I was never a morning person. But I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that in fourth grade, we were going to school like any other day, and then our bus driver literally rode up an embankment on the side of the road, and then the bus flipped over. So I went from playing slide with my friend on the bus to literally like just sliding down and falling to the ground, to the other side of the bus because it was overturned. Luckily, I don't think anyone was like super injured. I know people probably went to get checked out for like shoulder injuries because literally we dropped. If you were on the right side of the bus, you dropped all the way down to like the floor, to the ground. I don't know how else to explain it, but it was wild. We're in fourth grade, fourth, fifth, and younger. So imagine, like, we're all kids. And it was told to us that the bus driver was drunk, or he was still drunk from like the night before and lost control of the bus, which is wild because he was always seemed like such a nice guy. But anyway, I totally just went off the deep end into a random story from childhood. But yeah, I think we were all pretty traumatized without knowing what trauma was. And yeah, like talking that up it brought up that story. So anyway, back to me going to the bathroom because I had to walk home from school. I went to the bathroom and there was something colorful in my underwear and I wasn't sure like what that was, what it meant. I silently freaked out because I was also the shy, quiet girl. I didn't want any attention on me ever. So I was just like, I'm going to just make it home, call my mom, tell her what's up. And so that's what I did. I walked home. I called my mom and I was like, this is what's happening. And she was like, oh, you got your period. And I was like, oh. She was like, I knew it would happen soon. And then when my dad came home, he was all like, I heard you became a young lady today. I'm like, what else do dads say? I don't know. Yeah, the most I was told was like it was a part of life. I was given a book called The Care and Keeping of You. I'll try to add a link to it in the show notes, but this book basically just talked about hygiene and exercise and like picking out the right bra. I'm pretty sure it had nothing to do with periods. So I was very confused. And yeah, I don't know, but I was definitely a church girl growing up. So a lot of womanhood just became speeches about abstinence. It all circled back to abstinence and not much about like what a period is, why it's here, why you have it, like what's going to happen. Just don't have sex. Like that was it. I don't know how you guys handled transitioning into adolescence. I was the girl who always tried to hide my period, especially in school. It's weird because I almost feel like it was instinctual how I kind of got into formation when my period came. Like I didn't learn much about it beyond I'm going to bleed every month and have a little bit of pain, and it's all part of being a girl. So when it came, I somehow still fell in line. Is that weird? Is that relatable? Like I feel like we're told like these are things that are going to happen at certain points in your life, and then you kind of just like fall into it easily. It's like instinctual. I don't know if it's women's intuition, but it's just like you just kind of lean into your purpose, quote unquote. But anyway, I hated having my period in school because of the pads. They were so loud. Like I remember that flimsy plastic packaging. Like what were they thinking? Honestly, they were like super colorful, not discreet at all. They had all the patterns and the best designs. And I'm like, are we supposed to just like fangirl over this with our friends? Because I don't get the purpose. I just want it to be quiet so that nobody knows what's happening with my body right now. So I wasn't telling anybody I was bleeding. I would literally try to hide myself dropping a used pad in those damn floor disposals. Like you guys know, they were like white and they were metal and they had like openings on each side and then like a little bar at the top. So you had to fit your used pad in there. And like it was always at the floor of the stall when someone's right next to you. And so there was no privacy. I don't know who thought that that was a good idea, but it wasn't. But I would literally just try to like either cough really loud or move my leg foot in a position where like others couldn't see me dropping my used pad in there. It just seemed so embarrassing at the time. And it's weird too because don't get it twisted. Like girls' bathrooms are nasty. Like people, I remember, would not wrap their pad in the wrapper. They would just like put it in there, or tampons. They would just put it into the disposable thing. And I'm like, y'all not gonna clean that up? Okay. In high school, I was still shy about it, but I was a little more used to it. So I didn't care as much if someone knew. But I did notice that my cramps intensified. So in middle school, I got cramps, but like I could take Advil or Midol, I think was popular at the time, and like I'd be fine. But I did notice that my cramps intensified in high school, and we were still expected to show up to class, have extracurricular activities, staying home from school because you were on your period was never a valid excuse. And I'm like, had my body been on what it's on now, I feel like I wouldn't have even graduated on time because I'd missed so many school days in the month. Like I don't know how women deal with it now. Like I wonder if like there's people in high school and middle school who have debilitating cramps and can't get out of bed and they're missing all these school days. Like how do you keep up? That's a toughie. In gym class, sit me down, please. I was extremely active and competitive. I played soccer. I took dance. I was a cheerleader. I was involved in other extracurricular activities throughout the year. So it was super exhausting. but I had to push through because I thought like I had to. Like, we're ladies, we're girls, we're women, we're bleeding through our vaginas and expected to still take on the world as though nothing different is happening to our bodies. It's really weird, no? Like, I feel that we should be able to like have a break or, take time off, use PTO, just have, or not even have to use PTO, like have time set aside specifically for people with uteruses who have their period to just be, not be on, not be expected to be at work or answer emails or phone calls or Zoom meetings. Just like, let us be. I think that would be like top tier. Things I wish someone would have told me about. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about a few different things that I wish I knew when my period first started. One, that book. Like, give me better books. If you have book suggestions, I would love for you to follow me on Instagram at dearauntflo.pod. Send me some book recommendations that I can add to my platform so that there are others out there who have children or nieces who need some extra education about their period. That would be super great. Okay, so please don't judge me, but I wish somebody would have told me about sleeping while on your cycle. So up until college, every week of my cycle, I would only sleep on my back. And this was like, I honestly thought that I would leak everywhere if I moved. I didn't trust commercials. I didn't trust anything. I was just like, this makes sense. If I sleep on my back, like it only has like that direction of the pad to go. Like it won't go anywhere else because I'm not moving. So I would literally just like be mummified on the bed. And spoiler alert, I still leaked everywhere. Not everywhere, but I still leaked because it would just go backwards or forwards. So I either slept on my back or I slept on my stomach. If I slept on my back, it would still go backwards and then leak onto my underwear and then onto the pants or shorts I was wearing and then onto the sheets. And the same with if I slept on my stomach. It wasn't until college when I talked to friends about it and they would say how wild they sleep and they have no issues with leaking for the most part. So I tried it one cycle and I was mind blown. I was so mind blown. Stop judging me. I was so mind blown that I was able to just sleep regularly. Sleep on my side, sleep crisscross diagonal, fetal position, like whatever. I could sleep just fine. And that is insane that I didn't know that until I got to college. I feel like you're judging me. I asked you not to. We're moving on to another thing I wish someone would have told me about were tampons. So I used pads up until my junior year of college. And I only didn't use tampons because I was like, that just seems weird that something is just like stuck up there. And what if you forget about it? Or what if it goes all the way up? Or so many different things. But it would have been a huge game changer for me, especially with playing sports and cheerleading during adolescence to high school. Taking dance, all of the movement that I was doing everywhere, all of the time, a tampon would have helped so much. There's so much mess that comes with wearing pads and God forbid you forget to wear a pad with wings, like then there's no hope for you whatsoever. There's blood everywhere, because pads without wings, I don't even know why they make those, honestly. They don't stay where they're supposed to stay, and that's not cool. So yeah, tampons I think would have helped a lot with controlling the amount of blood that was being dispersed. Okay, another thing is every girl my age was probably on her period and embarrassed about it too. So I didn't need to be embarrassed. We could have banded together. We could have formed a support group instead of hiding in our shame. It's not shameful to be on your period. It is part of life. It's supposed to be a beautiful thing. It's when you're older and old enough, it's supposed to prepare you for, bringing life into the world. But I really wish that someone would have made me feel less shamed and embarrassed about it. I think sometimes I remember like kids would be teased for being on their period, which is why I hid trying to like drop it into the little canister at the bottom of the stall. I swear I will die on a hill, but those things were the dumbest idea ever. Okay, another thing I wish someone would have told me about, health class. It was not very memorable. I really only remember being taught about like, again, hygiene, anatomy, and then sex education. I mostly remember being super embarrassed because whenever they talked about AIDS or HIV, the test for that, the acronym was ELISA, and that's my name. And I'd be like freaked out. I was like, oh my God, people are going to think that like I have it or I'm associated with it somehow. Listen, I was a child, okay? A child. But anyway, I really can't note how they discussed periods or like women's bodies beyond pregnancy and sex. I think there should have been more of a curriculum centered around what is actually happening inside of your body. And then I wish someone would have told me to ask questions, to go to the nurse if I leaked or if it came when I wasn't prepared for it. I wish I was able to lean more on family and women figures in my life for support. And that could be on me for my reserved, shy demeanor. But I think that if an opportunity was presented for me to be more open and vocal about what was happening with me, I would have took that and ran with it. And at those young ages, you're very impressionable. You're seeking wisdom, and you're seeking out people who have knowledge in something that you are ill prepared for or just not knowledgeable on. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that there should be more help centered around how to navigate through that part of your life. I mean, think about like how much more we would be knowledgeable in like finances if we had like financial literacy courses in middle school and high school. I don't know. I just think that if things were available to us to aid in our growth and our mindset, we would be a lot better off now as we're dealing with new things that come up, because my period today is nowhere near where it was in middle and high school, and I want that old thing back. Okay, I want it back. I wish that I knew so much more about how the body worked or works and why certain things happen. But life experience is always also a great teacher. So always be curious, always ask questions, always fight the system and challenge the status quo. Because again, you know your body more than anybody else. Okay, let's close out with an affirmation. You can say it with me after I say it and take it into your day, week, or month. And here we go. I can learn from the past and still look forward to the future. So say it with me. I can learn from the past and still look forward to the future. Okay, I love you. I see you. I hear you. And I will catch you in the next episode. Peace. Hey BFFs, thanks for tuning in to Dear Aunt Flo. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to show support, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. This will help more period BFFs find our community and add to the conversation. Follow on IG at dearauntflo.pod and let me know what topics you'd like to cover this season. Catch you in the next episode, period.